Howdy there, private group members. Hope everybody's doing great as always. Want to do a full dedicated chef video here. Is the chef dead? What can be learned in this situation? Where do things go from here? How does this company even get back to break even? Like, I don't even want to think about making a profit. The stock's down 78% this year, right? When you're in a stock that's down 78%, you're not even thinking about profits. You're thinking about, okay, how long is it going to take for me to get back to break even? What does it need to take for me even to have a chance to get back to break even? Once again, not even thinking about profits, right? And, I'm down over $1 million in the chef. Over $1 million. If you add up all my different accounts, it's been an extremely expensive lesson. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, extremely expensive. And I think there's a lot that we can look at and find out why this has happened and kind of what's transpired here and in my take on that, right? And the thing I'll say is even probably bigger than the money, right? Because, we're talking, I'm down over $1 million in the stock. It's an insane amount of money, right? But it's also embarrassing. And obviously in college I ran track, and it would be the equivalent of being like a hurdle runner. And, you train and train and train, and then you get out there on the track in a big race and you like hit a hurdle and you lose a race. That's like the level of kind of embarrassment I have in this whole chef situation, because, this was a stock I believed in so much, talked about so much, and they've disappointed on almost, and we'll cover the one thing this company's done well. The one thing. That's it. They've disappointed on so many fronts that it's embarrassing. And it's very reminiscent of what I went through with GoPro back in the day, where GoPro was a failed investment of mine. It was, I talked about it all the time, and it was super embarrassing. That was back in what was that, 2017 or 2018, something like that. And the chef situation, it's almost identical in terms of just kind of my feeling of just being embarrassed by, the whole situation. Just like, how do they screwing this up and this and this and this? And very frustrating ordeal to go through nonetheless. And I think for me, if I wasn't on YouTube and I didn't talk about anything in the financial markets, it would just be about no, you know what? Even if I wasn't on social media, the more I think about it, even if I wasn't on social media, I would still, beat myself down about this, because at the end of the day, I'm a competitor, and it's embarrassing. Like, even if no one ever knew, let's say I was a private person, no one ever knew I owned the stock, still be extremely embarrassing to myself that I put in all this time and effort in this stock, and I'm down over $1 million. Like, it's a massive, massive amount of money, right? So let's get started here. So first thing is, let's cover why this stock is down 78% year to date. Okay. First thing is, any company that's a money losing company basically got its valuation almost cut in half immediately, right? Because of the switch in the market. The market, basically, because the Fed started raising interest rates and everything that's happened with inflation, it decided we want no piece of money-losing companies, right? And it happened very quick. So basically, the chef was going to probably lose 50% of its value this year, don't matter what happened with the company. And that's what we've seen. Even companies that have executed very well have had their stocks, pretty much cut in half this year. Look at Tesla's a perfect example of this, right? I don't know if there's a company in the world, truly, I don't know if there's a company in the world that has executed as well as Tesla, right? And this is a stock that's down 52% this year. 52%, and I don't think there's a company other than maybe Apple that's executed as well as Tesla has, right? And so that right off the bat, that's 50% off the stock price, right? It's just that change in the market and the way everybody's valuing stocks now. Second component why this stock's down massively is this was a growth story that is, the numbers aren't there. 281 was expected. A lot of us more bullish investors, and I said this on YouTube as well, right? I was expecting closer to 300 mil, if not over 300 mil in 2022. Now they're talking about 245. Oh my gosh, that's a massive miss on revenue. So, you can't be a revenue growth story and then come in with extremely weak revenue growth numbers. No, that can't happen, right? The third component why the stock is down massively is the epic losses the company's taken this year, right? That have been pretty much bigger than expected, including they've lost $85 million on the bottom line this year. That's a big number, man. That is a big, big number. So they've lost a fortune, including $38 million. And even myself, I try to think about this. I'm like, how the hell do they lose this much money? I'm like, the product is not like it should be some insanely expensive product. Like, I look at what just goes into the product, right? And I look at the packaging, I look at all those things. I'm like, there's no way this company should be losing this much money. Just no way. And I understand, obviously, they probably paid through the nose with trucking rates this year and are still probably in some of those contracts and have a bunch of other unfavorable contracts in 2022 because the price of everything went through the roof, right? But still, I'm like, how did they lose 85 mil this year? It just, like, even to myself, I'm just like, it doesn't even make sense, man. That's just a ridiculous number. And in this sort of market, I mean, if this was a year ago, year and a half ago, people are like, okay, who cares, 85 mil. In this market, everybody's watching every penny, every dime. And that's just, unexcusable. The fourth thing is obviously poor communication with this company. Horrible communication. I mean, when they came out with this, they should have done some sort of, conference call or something and talked more about the state of the business or, I just feel like, and I will say it's not the worst communication I've seen from a company. I have seen much worse than Chef, but they've missed dates several times where they said something was going to happen and they weren't prepared on that date, right? And overall, just not given enough detail many times when it comes to situations that are going on with the company. And that's on the management team. That's poor communication. That's sloppy running of a public company. This is not a private company anymore. Private company, you can do whatever, right? When you're a public company, you have responsibility to your shareholders. You need to make sure your shareholders are all on the same page and they understand everything that's going on. And if there's any Chef shareholders out here or anybody that's watching this video that owns any stock in any public company, keep this in mind in the future, okay? If a company's missing any sort of dates out there, or if a company is not explaining why something's going on, whether it's a loss being taken or margins or whatever, or you're confused at all, hit up the investor relations of a company. That information is usually always on their investor relations page, and send them an email and say, hey, why is this margin this, or why is this loss this, or why did you guys miss this date? Like, email them, email the company in general if the investor relations people aren't getting back to you fast enough, okay? That is their fiduciary responsibility as being a public company. And so that's just something that I probably never talk about enough. But if you own stock in a company, they have to give you reasons. Now, you can't get certain details that might not be publicly available. Like, let's say you're like, hey, how much is your Walmart contract with, for something like that. Like, you can't get that level of detail, but you should be able to get detail and explanations on why a margin's not hit or why, they didn't have this report out when they should have it out or whatever. So anyways, that was long story short, poor communication with the company. That's why the stock is down 78% year to date. That's why it's down so much, okay? So what does a company like this have to do to even give myself or anybody even a chance to break even with this stock, right? Once again, we're not even thinking about making money on the stock. I'm just thinking about how many years is it going to take for me to break even in the stock, okay? So there's 5 core things I look at that I say they have to execute on to give me a chance to even, do something like that, okay? First one is they have to rapidly increase their margins in 2023 in a massive way. And, if you look at, obviously, a landscape, and I've covered many times that, costs and commodity pressures and transportation, all those sorts of things have come down massively the last 6 to 9 months, specifically, right? So the company, as long as they execute on that, they should be able to, hopefully increase quite a bit. Second thing I need to see is I need to see them become a company of beats and not misses. Because here's the thing. Everybody that owns a stock or has looked at the stock is scared as shit of when they come out and report earnings, including me. Because every quarter I'm like, oh crap, are they going to miss this number? Are they going to miss this or that? They've become a company of disappointments, and instead of looking forward to their earnings and be like, oh, this is exciting, it's like, you're biting your nails and you're like, what's going to happen now? Are we going to tank the stock more? And that just, like, who wants to buy that sort of stock? Seriously, who wants to buy that sort of stock? So they have to be a company that comes out and beats and beats and beats and beats and beats. And they got to become a management team that is known for delivering the numbers and not a company that's known for missing the numbers, okay? That's how you start to attract a real shareholder base that is totally behind your stock and believes that they would like to build positions bigger because they know the management team's there to deliver and not, come in and screw everything up, okay? Third thing they have to do, they have to rapidly increase cash flow throughout 2023 and show better and better cash flow numbers. Their cash flow has obviously been a disaster along with their profitability in 2022. So they need to show massive increase there. They need to improve their communications and make sure every little nitty-gritty detail is covered by this company and give investors the confidence that the management team and the company in general is going to explain things as well as they possibly could, so there's no misinterpretations of anything. And if they say, we're going to do this on this date, that's happening on that date. No mistakes in 2023, not even one. Fifth thing that needs to happen is they need to basically have a year where cash flow gets in a much better place throughout the year, margins get in a much better place throughout the year, profitability in general gets in a much better place as the year goes along. So then they can hopefully set up for some positive cash flow in 2024, whether it be on a yearly basis or at least a few quarters. We know the company has talked about in the back half of 2024. But no one's going to believe that unless throughout 2023, they're setting themselves up for that situation, right? And so, whenever you look at any sort of stock, you got to say, is it setting up for this situation, right? Because going into 2023, we've just been set up where, we've just been disappointed again and again and again with just about every single metric, right? Now, what's the one thing? The one thing this company's done well, and really the only thing they have going for themselves as of right now, is the product. The product. The way it looks in stores, the way it sells, and the amount of SKUs they have in obviously stores. Like, that's the one thing they've done well. And we've watched them expand into just about every store and get more and more items and those sorts of things, right? And so that's it. That's it. And so it's really, at this point in time with the chef, like, why do I not just, take an L and move my money elsewhere? I'm such a big believer in the brand and what the brand represents and what it can hopefully become over future years, as long as management doesn't this whole thing up. That's what keeps me in this one, to be quite honest. I think I'm truly a believer in the brand and everything, and the sorts of numbers that hopefully can be put up as long as management executes on this and doesn't keep screwing this situation up. Because the one thing they have done, they've built out an impressive brand. No one ever heard of this company 2 years ago. No one ever heard of this company. And now to see the presence they have in countless stores and the sell-through and those sorts of things, right? And how many different products they have. I mean, it's extremely exciting from that perspective. Everything else is so sad, it's hard to even talk about. But from that one side, their actual product, that could be the one thing that pulls this story together and makes things work. But 2023 is it's a year that all the pressure in the world's on Sam Galletti and that team. And, it's a very big hope situation. I'll say that. It's much more of a hope situation than a lot of stocks, right? Because you look at a lot of stocks, like, let's say you're looking into a company like a Google, right? Or, a Microsoft or something like that. Those are more of like, you're looking at the financials, you're looking at kind of like forward Ps or trailing 12-month Ps, and you're kind of looking at it and you're like, I think this is fair. It's at a 19 forward P, and I think they'll grow at 8%, on their bottom line. So the market's trading at 22, or, I'm just throwing these numbers out. And so you're like, that's a good buy for me. The risk rewards there, right? Those are more simple. The chef's a very complicated story of, it's really a bet on the brand. That's what it honestly is at this point in time, because, we really have nothing else to go off of as of right now. That can change if they execute, If they don't execute, then, what's the company got at that point in time? So it's obviously, I would call it even though the stock's down a lot, a ridiculous amount, 78%, it's a very high risk stock, maybe even more risky than when I first got in it. And the reason is they don't have the same type of balance sheet. When I first got in the stock, they had way more money on that balance sheet. And they were also taking less losses. Do keep that in mind as well. So, yeah, it's been an embarrassing year to be a shareholder of this stock. Absolutely. And I hope it pays off in the end. But man, it's a pretty darn depressing situation, just to be quite frank. And there's a lot of stocks that I speak about on YouTube, obviously, that I feel like the market's got it wrong. Meta is a perfect example where I'm like, the market's got it wrong. I can't really say that about the chef. Even though it's down 78%, it's not like I can be like, it's because the market's just got this story wrong. It's like, no, they disappointed so bad on everything. Everything. So like, other than the one thing, which is expanding product massively, selling the product through, and those sorts of things, right? So, anyways, that's my 2 cents on the chef. And that's kind of where I'm at mentally with the stock, what I'm looking for 23, and what I need to see from the company to give me confidence, either to continue to hold the stock or continue to buy more shares in 2023. That's what I need to see in 2023. That year's everything for the company. It's a make or break year. It's as simple as that. 2023 is a make or break year for this company. And otherwise it's going to be a penny stock, which penny stocks are, I think by the SEC is anything under $5 a share, right? So it's we'll see. We'll see, man. Hope for the best in the situation. That's all, can do at this point in time. So anyways, guys, that's my view on that. Thanks for watching this. And wow, that was a kind of a long video, 17 minutes. Holy smokes. I don't usually make videos that long in the private group. Much love as always, other than the conference call videos. Those are beasts. But appreciate you guys. And have a great day.